Put these ingredients in your coffee and your wrinkles will disappear and you will have firm and youthful skin. Do you feel that your skin is losing elasticity and looks more saggy every day? Here I will give you your solution, and at the end I will tell you how to combine these ingredients to get the most out of their benefits. Skin does not wrinkle suddenly. What really happens is much more silent, and precisely for that reason. It is so dangerous because you don't see it coming. It does not happen from one day to the next in front of the mirror. It happens every day, little by little, while you think that everything stays the same. Inside your body there, why coffee and skin are three processes that begin to weaken the skin little by little. Three invisible mechanisms that work in the background even right now while you are listening to this. The first is the loss of collagen. After the age of 30, the body begins to produce less collagen every year. And collagen is what keeps the skin firm, thick, and elastic. But what almost no one tells you is that you not only produce less collagen, you also start to destroy it faster. That is to say the problem is double. Your body produces less and loses more. When that collagen decreases, the skin begins to become thinner, weaker, more fragile. It loses that internal structure that kept it tight as if it were a firm mattress. And then the skin no longer bounces back. It no longer returns to its place. And that is when fine lines appear, which later turn into deep wrinkles. At first, they are almost invisible small marks when you smile. Lines that disappear when you stretch the skin. But over time, they stay. They become permanent. They are visible even when your face is at rest. And that happens because the skin no longer has the necessary structure to support itself. The second problem is silent. Inflammation. It is not an inflammation that you can feel. It does not hurt. It does not burn. It does not bother. But it is there every day, active, constant, slowly destroying the fibers that keep your skin firm. But here there is something even more important. This inflammation activates specific enzymes that literally break collagen. It is as if your own body were dismantling the what causes wrinkles structure of your skin from the inside. And it does it without you realizing it. Factors such as stress, sugar, poor diet, lack of sleep, all of that feeds this inflammation. And the longer it remains active, the faster the skin ages. It is as if you lit a slow fire under your skin and let it burn for years. It is as if the skin were weakening slowly every day without you realizing it. And that is why many people one day look in the mirror and say, when did this happen? But it did not happen in a moment. It happened over years before. Continuing, write the word coffee. If you are committed to your skin and your health, good. The third problem is cellular dehydration. I am not only talking about drinking water, because you can drink a lot of water and still have dry skin. I am talking about something much deeper. I am talking about the real capacity that your cells have to retain that hydration. Because young skin does not only have water, it knows how to keep it. It has a strong lipid barrier. It has natural hyaluronic acid. It has structures that trap hydration inside the skin. But over time, that capacity is lost. Cells no longer retain water the same way. Hydration escapes, and then the skin begins to look dull without glow, with irregular texture and with much more marked wrinkles, because dehydrated skin is skin that folds more easily, that sinks, that loses volume, that loses life. And here comes something that almost no one mentions. When the skin is dehydrated, any wrinkle looks twice as deep, even the smallest ones. But when the skin is well hydrated, those same lines can look much less visible. That is to say, it is not always that you have more wrinkles. It is that they look much more noticeable because the skin longer has the capacity to support itself from within. You get the perfect scenario for accelerated skin aging. But the secret ingredient explained. Here's where the most important part comes in, because these processes are not inevitable. And the most surprising thing is that you can start to influence them every day with something as simple as what you consume in the morning. For years, most studies on aging focused on medications. And this made sense because for decades, the medical industry has looked for fast, concentrated, and patentable solutions. Pills, injections, specific treatments that act on a single mechanism. But there was a problem. Skin. Aging does not occur from a single cause. It occurs from multiple processes at the same time. That is why many treatments work partially, but do not address the full problem. But when they began to analyze natural compounds present in common foods, they found something surprising, something that completely changed the way of understanding aging from within. They discovered that certain foods do not act on a single mechanism, but on several at the same time. That is to say, they not only help in one aspect of the skin, they work as a network simultaneously. And that makes them much more powerful than they seem. Some natural ingredients can stimulate collagen production, reduce inflammation that destroys the skin, and improve hydration from within. But here is where most people fall short, because it is not only about these ingredients having benefits. It is about how they act inside the body. For example, some compounds activate fibroblasts, which are the cells responsible for producing collagen. Others block enzymes that degrade that. Same structure, and others improve the capacity of cells to retain water, increasing the density and volume of the skin. That is to say, while some build, others protect, and others fill from within. And when these processes occur, at the same time, the skin does not only maintain itself, it begins to recover. But the most interesting thing is this. These compounds do not work the same when consumed in isolation. And this is where one of the most important discoveries comes in. And the most interesting thing is that several of those compounds work much better when combined with coffee. Yes, and this is not a coincidence. Coffee is one of the richest sources of polyphenols and antioxidants that exist in the daily diet. Compounds that help fight oxidative stress, which is another of the major causes of skin aging. But in addition, coffee has the ability to act as an enhancer. That is to say, it improves the bioavailability of certain, how it works in your body, compounds. It helps the body absorb them better and allows them to reach the cells more effectively. Coffee is not just a drink. It is a base full of antioxidants that can enhance the effect of certain natural ingredients. Subscribe to the channel if you want to. Keep learning more about the rejuvenation of your skin. We continue. Some studies have shown that the polyphenols in coffee can protect skin cells against damage caused by free radicals, which are unstable molecules that damage collagen, elastin, and cellular DNA. And there is something even more interesting. When these antioxidants are combined with other natural compounds, the effect is not added. It is multiplied. This is known as a synergistic effect. And it is key because it means that two ingredients together can be much more effective than each one separately. For example, one ingredient can reduce inflammation while another protects collagen and another improves hydration. But when you combine them, you create an internal environment where the skin can regenerate, where damage is reduced, and where the natural processes of the body are reactivated. And this is something that no topical product can fully replicate because creams act from the outside, but these compounds act from within, from the root. And when combined correctly, they can help the skin look firmer in a few weeks. This coffee does 3 fundamental things for your skin. And the interesting part is that they do not act separately, but at the same time, inside your body. And this is what really makes the difference because most solutions people try act only on one part of the problem. But skin aging never occurs from a single cause. It occurs from several processes that progress at the same time. That is why when you manage to influence several of them at once, the effect is not linear. It is much more powerful. It is cumulative. It is synergistic. And that is where you begin to see real changes. On one hand, it helps reduce the inflammation that causes wrinkles. That silent inflammation that you do not see, but that is wearing down your skin day after day, weakening collagen without you realizing it. When you manage to calm that process, the body stops. Science versus hype. Destroying and begins to focus on repairing. But there is something even deeper here. That inflammation does not only affect the surface of the skin. It directly affects the cells responsible for keeping it young. When it is present, it activates mechanisms that accelerate cellular aging, increasing oxidative damage and weakening the natural regenerative capacity of the body. It is as if the system were constantly in alert mode, consuming resources instead of rebuilding. By reducing that inflammation, what you really do is change the internal state of the body. You go from an environment of wear to an environment of recovery. And that has a direct impact on how your skin looks and feels. At the same time, it stimulates the natural production of collagen. And this is key because collagen is what keeps the skin firm, with structure, with that smoother and more youthful appearance. When the body begins to produce it efficiently again, the skin starts to regain density as if it were being rebuilt from within. This is where one of the most visible changes occurs because collagen not only supports the skin, it also gives it volume. It gives it resistance. It gives it that ability to remain firm against the passage of time. But the most important thing is to understand that the body never completely loses the ability to produce collagen. It simply becomes less efficient, slower, weaker. And when you stimulate that process, again, what you are doing is reactivating something that already exists within you. You are not adding something external. You are awakening a natural function that was decreasing, and over time that translates into skin that looks stronger, more compact, more even, as if it regained part of its original structure. And in addition, it improves deep hydration of the skin, not only at a superficial level, but within the cells, helping them retain water better. This makes the skin look more luminous, more flexible, and with less marked wrinkles. And this point has more impact than most people imagine because hydration is not only aesthetic, it is structural. Well-hydrated skin has volume. It has elasticity. It has that filled appearance that we associate with youth. But when the skin loses that ability to retain water, it begins to slightly collapse. It sinks. It becomes marked. Wrinkles become more visible, not necessarily because they are deeper, but because the skin no longer has internal support. By improving hydration from within, what happens is that the skin regains that ability to support itself. Diet and skin connection. It becomes more flexible, more resistant to folds, and in addition, it reflects light better, which gives it that more luminous and healthy appearance. And there is something key here. Hydration also enhances the effect of collagen because collagen needs a hydrated environment to maintain its structure. Without enough water, it loses effectiveness. That is to say, you are not only hydrating the skin, you are improving the whole system. Before revealing the ingredients to you, tell me below in the comments if you usually drink coffee in the mornings and in what quantity. I will read everyone who writes. Good. What you should put in your coffee is more important than it seems because it is not only about mixing ingredients, but about understanding how each one acts inside your body and how together they can truly change the way your skin ages. For example, something as simple as adding half a teaspoon of cinnamon already starts to make a difference. Cinnamon helps improve circulation, and that means that more oxygen and more nutrients reach your skin cells directly. And here is a detail that almost no one takes into account. It does not matter how good your diet is if those nutrients do not reach correctly where they are needed. Blood is the transport system of everything that keeps your skin firm and healthy. And when that flow improves, the skin's ability to regenerate also improves. That is why when the skin receives more nutrients, it renews faster, looks firmer, more alive with a more even tone. But cinnamon does not stop there. It also helps stabilize blood sugar levels. And this is key because glucose spikes accelerate a process called glycation, which damages collagen and makes it rigid and brittle. That is to say, you are not only helping to nourish the skin, you are also protecting its structure from within. Then there is pure unsweetened cocoa. 1 teaspoon that may seem insignificant, but that has a huge impact. Cocoa is loaded with antioxidants, especially flavonoids, which directly combat oxidative stress. And this stress is one of the main causes of skin aging. Every day your skin is exposed to pollution, solar, radiation, stress. All of that generates free radicals that damage the cells. That is why it is not enough to produce collagen. You also need to prevent it from being destroyed. And cocoa acts as an internal shield protecting those fibers that keep the skin firm. In addition, it improves microcirculation, which makes the skin look more luminous, healthier almost immediately. It not only protects, it also visibly improves common mistakes, the appearance. Turmeric is another key point. With just 1/4 of a teaspoon, you are adding one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories that exist. But the interesting thing is not only that it reduces inflammation, but how it does it, it acts directly on the internal mechanisms that keep that inflammation active, helping to turn off that silent process that accelerates aging. When you reduce that inflammation, the body stops being in wear mode and can return to producing collagen naturally. It is like removing a brake that was blocking your ability to regenerate. Many people begin to notice firmer skin with consistent use. But in addition, turmeric also protects the cells, reducing daily damage and making the skin age more slowly. Then there is coconut oil or coconut milk. 1 teaspoon that fulfills a key function that many people overlook. It is not just an addition. It is what allows everything else to work better, Many of the compounds you are consuming need fat to be absorbed correctly. Without that fat, a large part of the benefits are simply not used. But in addition, these healthy fats help keep the skin hydrated from within. And here is something fundamental. The skin is not hydrated only from the outside. True, hydration occurs at the internal level. When you strengthen the natural barrier of the skin, you prevent moisture from being lost, and that translates into smoother, younger skin with fewer visible wrinkles, more filled, more flexible, and more resistant. And of course, the coffee itself also matters, and a lot. Not all coffees are the same, and quality makes the difference in the amount of antioxidants you are consuming. Good quality coffee is rich in polyphenols that help protect the skin from cellular damage, preserving its structure over time. But there is something even more interesting. It also helps the cells be more active, more receptive to repair processes. That is to say, it not only protects, it also makes the body function better. That said, all of this is lost if you add sugar. And this is absolutely key, because sugar is one of the biggest enemies of collagen. It activates glycation, hardens the fibers, makes them less functional, and accelerates the appearance of wrinkles. That is to say, you may be doing everything right, but if you add sugar, you are reducing other skin-boosting add-ins, large part of the effect. And when you put all these ingredients together, you are no longer just drinking coffee. You are creating a combination that works at multiple levels inside your body, reducing damage, protecting the structure of the skin, and helping it regenerate naturally from within, which is where the change really happens. In the morning is when your body is most receptive, when metabolic processes are more active, and when it best takes advantage of the compounds you consume. It is as if your body were prepared to absorb, process, and use everything you give it in those first hours of the day. But there is something even deeper. Your biological rhythm, your internal clock, is designed so that certain functions occur at specific times. And the morning is the moment when the body is most prepared to activate, to nourish itself, and to respond to positive stimuli. It is when the cells are more sensitive, more receptive, more open to using what they receive. In addition, there is another key point. During the night, your body enters repair mode. And what you do in the morning can enhance that process or slow it down. This coffee acts as a continuation of that nightly repair, giving your body the tools to continue regenerating the skin from within. It is as if during the night you had started a reconstruction, and in the morning you decided whether to continue that process or interrupt it. If you give your body the right compounds, that process keeps moving forward. If not, it slows down or even stops every day. And this is where the real difference lies between people who see results and those who do not. Because the difference is not in knowing the information. It is in applying it consistently. It is not what you do one day. It is what you repeat constantly. And this goes beyond the skin. It is a biological rule. The body responds to patterns, to repetitions, to signals that are maintained over time, realistic expectations, because the body does not work based on extreme changes, but on repeated signals. Each day you consume these compounds, you are telling your organism, this is important. This is a priority. And over time, the body responds, it adapts, it adjusts. It begins to optimize its processes based on what it receives. And that is where real changes begin. You do not need to drink more than 1 cup. In fact, more does not mean better. And this is a very common mistake to think that if something is good, more quantity will be better. But the body does not work like that. It works better with balance, with constant and sustained stimuli, because it is not about saturating the body, but about maintaining a constant and balanced stimulus. 1 well-made cup every day is much more effective than several cups occasionally. It is like training a muscle. It does not grow by making an extreme effort one single day, but by repeating a moderate stimulus consistently. What matters is not the quantity. It is consistency. And this is the point that changes everything, literally. Because this is where most people quit. Because many people look for quick results, but give up before the body has time to respond. They want to see changes in days when the process takes weeks to develop. Collagen does not work as something immediate. It is not like a cream that gives a temporary visual effect. It is not a makeup for the skin. It is a biological process. Final thoughts. That needs time, that involves regeneration, reconstruction, cellular adaptation. Because collagen does not recover in 1 day, nor in 2, nor in a week. And understanding this completely changes your expectation. But when the body receives these compounds daily, it begins to change. And recovery follows that same rhythm. It is not instantaneous. It is progressive. It is cumulative. But when you do it every day, the results begin to show. And when they appear, they are not temporary. They do not disappear if you stop for a few days, because they come from a real change from a body that is functioning, better from skin that is rebuilding from within. And that is when you understand that it was never about doing more, but about doing it consistently. Share this video with a friend or family member who drinks coffee every morning. Discover the ingredient you should rub to. Eliminate wrinkles on your arms. Click here. See you in the next